Welcome to How to Use a Checking Register, brought to you by Members Credit Union. For some, understanding just how to use a checking register can be a daunting task. By the end of this course, you will have the understanding and be confident in your ability to keep your account balanced with your checking register. A checking register is divided into several columns to help keep you organized. There's the check number or transaction type column, the date column, the description column, the payment or debit column, the fee column, the deposit or credit column, and lastly the balance column. Don't worry, we're going to go through each one of these in more detail. I have already given us a balance on the first line. So let's say we received our fake energy bill in the mail, and we need to mail a check for that payment. Let's first write the check, and now we're going to record the transaction in our checking register. We start with the check number, 1234. By adding the check number to the register, we can quickly identify the transaction when we are checking off our register with the monthly statement your credit union will provide for you at the end of each month. Next, we write down the date. What date did we write the check? Next, we write the description. In this case, we wrote the check to Fake Energy, so that's what the description would be. If you have room, you can add a note to say the energy bill or power bill or some other detailed description. Since this is money we are spending out of the account, we enter this in the payment debit column, $236.87. Notice this column is split into two smaller columns, one for your whole dollars and one for your cents. Since there was no fee attached to this transaction and it was not a deposit, we can skip over the next two columns. Now, we simply subtract the amount of the payment from the balance on the previous line and record our new balance. Let's look at another example. This time we went to Walmart and bought some groceries. We decided to use for this transaction our debit card instead of writing a check. In our first column, we write debit, and again we write the date that the transaction was made. The description is Walmart because that's where we spent our money. Wow, we only spent $126.17 on our groceries. And since this was a debit from the account, we record this in the payment debit column. Again, there are no fees with this transaction and it wasn't a deposit, so we simply subtract the amount we spent from the balance on the previous line and record our new balance. One last example. This time, let's look at a deposit. Hooray! It's payday, and you got your weekly paycheck. So off to the credit union we go to make a deposit. To remain in balance, we need to record this transaction as well. In the transaction type column, we use the letters D, E, P to signify deposit. Again, we record the date and enter our description. There are many ways to enter your description. Just make sure that it is a way that you will understand what the transaction is. Since this is a deposit, and there are no fees attached to this transaction, we can skip the first two columns and record our deposit in the deposit credit column. To obtain our new balance, this time we will add the amount to the balance of the previous line. Congratulations! Now you have successfully filled out your checking register. But why is it so important with online banking, telephone banking, and other options right at our fingertips? By balancing your checkbook each month, you ensure that your balance matches your credit union's records. Yes, even in this day and age, credit unions and banks can make mistakes, and this is the way to catch them. When you typically only have 60 days to catch a banking error, maintaining a regular schedule for balancing your account becomes critical. Overdraft fees add up quickly. Return checks can be costly, typically $25 or more for each. By balancing your checkbook each month, you're less likely to bounce checks or incur low balance or overdraft fees. Problem solving is easier. When a bank problem does arrive, you have no clue where to start investigating if you haven't balanced your checkbook recently. Those who make the effort to reconcile their registers regularly can simply look at the month's transactions and quickly see what's causing the discrepancy. Merchants make mistakes too. Most companies are honest, but like banks and credit unions, they can make mistakes too. By balancing your checkbook, you can verify that the amount charged for a product or service is what you expected. Between debit card transactions, online purchases, and ATM withdrawals, the ways you spend money have increased. So has the opportunity for someone to hack your account or steal your identity. Because of this, balancing your checkbook has never been a more important step in helping to identify fraudulent transactions. Keeping a close eye on transactions in your checking account can also provide useful insights for how to budget your money. It helps to know exactly what your balance is to help control cash flow and reduce expenses. Analyzing your income and expenses is much easier, especially at tax time. Now you have the tools to be successful in managing your account. For more educational video and opportunities, please contact us. We'd love to hear from you today.